Good. We can move now.
Okay. In the land of Ekumesi, during the time of global awakening, the journey began to see the end of a growing menace called pollution. Good evening, Eco Buzzers. How are we doing tonight?
This time, but kids, your mic is muted. You may want to check that.
Have you been hearing me since? In the land of Ekumesi, during the time of global awakening, the journey began to see the end of a growing menace called pollution. Eco Buzzers, how are we doing tonight? Now let's dive into the world of waste management. Are we ready for tonight? Nice. I can see that we are already. Jessica Kalu is ready. Innocent is ready for me. That's nice. First of all, let's delve into this. What is pollution? Who can explain that to me in the chat box? What is pollution? I need responses. We need to interact. Yes, I know we are all ready. Now give me responses to my question. That's nice. I think we have a perfect response in the chat box. Ruth Akibi have given us release of harmful substance into the environment. The release of that's just simply this the definition for pollution. It can now be solid, liquid, or gaseous in nature. Now, have you ever wondered who are the major contributors of pollution? Are they human factored or naturally engineered? Have we ever asked ourselves that question? Do you think it can be naturally engineered? Well, that's by the way. Let's dive into what we have for solid waste. What is solid waste and what is solid waste management? Yes, Precious is telling us it can be naturally engineered. Can you give us examples of such, of naturally engineered pollutions? Okay, decaying and disintegration, oil spillage. Oil spillage is human factor. Decaying is a natural process. That's waste. Now let's go into solid waste, our topic for today. Our solid waste is simply the complete process involved in the management of collecting, treating, and disposal of solid waste. If any of this process goes wrong, management will be totally disturbed. Before going further, do you know that greenhouse gases, next slide, from waste are key contributors to climate change? In 2060 alone, 5% of global emission were from solid waste. That's excluding transportation. Do we also know that the world generates 2.01 billion tons of solid waste annually? 2.01 billion, not money this time, of waste, with at least 33% out of 100%, 33% that are not managed as they should be. I mean, 33% not going into recycling plants, 33% not being used as compost. But before we move further, I need you to check out this video. Let's all listen to that. Is Lolu, I don't think the audio is on.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
Can we correct that?
Yeah.
Like waste segregation.
Does it seem better now?
It's better. Can you please kindly restart?
Okay.
Like paper, plastics,
Thank you so much.
glass, organic. Of our daily lives. Every day, we generate waste from our homes, offices, and industry. But have you ever thought about what happens to this waste? Improper disposal of waste leads to environmental pollution and health hazards. Our planet is drowning in waste. Overflowing landfills leak toxins into soil and waterways, while plastic pollution suffocates marine life and disrupts ecosystems. But what if I told you that a simple act like waste segregation could make a world of difference? Waste segregation is the process of separating different types of waste at the source, like paper, plastics, glass, and organic materials. By sorting our waste before disposal, we can unlock a world of benefits for both the environment and our communities. First and foremost, waste segregation reduces the strain on our landfills. By diverting recyclable and organic materials from the waste stream, we can extend the lifespan of our landfills and reduce the need for new ones. But that's not all. Waste segregation also makes recycling efficient. Separating materials at the source ensures that recyclables remain uncontaminated and organic waste can be transformed into nutrient-rich compost. Recyclable waste, such as paper, plastic, and metal, can be reused to create new products and reduces the demand for virgin materials and saves energy and resources. Waste segregation may seem like a small step, but it has a significant impact on the environment. Waste segregation is good for the environment. It's good practices. We can create cleaner, healthier neighborhoods for ourselves and future generations. But the power of waste segregation lies in our hands. By taking simple steps to sort our waste and recycle responsibly. So let's roll up our sleeves with your friends, family, and the rest of the world.
Thank you. Thank you, Jisam Lulu, for that. From that, we should be able to draw a brief overview of where solid waste come from, the sources of solid waste, which is broadly classified into solid waste and hazardous waste. Municipal solid waste is simply waste that are gotten from our urban regions, which can be divided into the biodegradable waste, recyclable waste, and hazardous domestic waste. You know, before I said there are two major classifications: the municipal solid waste and hazardous waste, solid waste. Then under municipal solid waste, we have biodegradable waste, recyclables, and hazardous domestic waste. Biodegradable waste in these aspects are the agricultural waste, the compost, vegetable food, things we get from our homes, mostly kitchen garbage. Recyclables are plastic, papers, metals, and all that can be turned into other materials without necessarily changing the composition of the materials. Then hazardous domestic waste are things we use at home. They are things we use basically at home, but they contain certain chemicals that are detrimental to our health. In this classification here, that's where e-waste fall into. This include batteries, bulbs, and this. Most times after use, we just dispose them of when they are no more working. We just dispose them of. At least for that, I don't think we have so much e-waste plants here in Nigeria. Then going to the hazardous solid waste. This includes industry generated waste. These are waste gotten from chemical industries, medical waste from hospitals. These are waste that need certain level of precaution, care before disposing them off. Now, in any region of of the world, solid waste management is very important for safe disposal of waste around us, in order to avoid environmental pollution and any health hazard that can come with it. Now, now that we've known the sources of solid waste, let's move down to the type of waste management that we have around us, present in our today's world. Now, tell me, which is the most common type of waste management that you know? Which is the most common? I need responses in the chat box, please. Can you hear me? Hello? Are you sure it's incineration? Is that the most common type of waste management we have around? How many incinerators do you have in your area? Tell me. Dump site, landfills. The most common type of waste management around are landfills, where we just collect waste together and just dump them in a particular secluded land space. That's actually the most common in our cities today. In most conditions, it is advised to be covered with soil to prevent contamination. But is that what happens in what we have around in our cities? I know that we can all agree with me that it's actually the other way around. Now, let's assume that these wastes are being collected. To just give us a brief overview of the level of harm that we are causing ourselves every day. Compost is being collected, the vegetable peels, agricultural waste is being collected, liners are being collected, address from industries are being collected over time in a particular space. They get accumulated over time. Then the process of biodegradation starts to occur with the compost. They start to decay under abnormal condition. No. After a few days of the decomposing, it becomes a breeding ground for mosquitoes. That's part one. Another disease-causing organism starts to show face. Apart from that, the aesthetic feeling of that environment is disturbed. The presence of foul odor starts to occur with time. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Now, let's include solid waste that are being collected from industries, in which we don't know which kind of metals that they combine together added together with this composition. Then we started seeing different reactions from time to time. we become exposed to various toxic metals. We see the likes of cancerous growths around skin to skin infection. Then we cry about the outbreak of cholera. Why won't cholera occur in our environment? Why won't we have, when our waters are contaminated, our soils are contaminated? That's just that's just small out of it. Now we've forgotten about cholera for some time. Who can guess the next thing on our item that we are speaking about now? Apart from cholera in Nigeria, let's use Nigeria as an overview. What's the next disease that that's in town now? You are not current. It's not malaria. Thank you. It's monkeypox. Monkeypox. Yes, from the origin, we said they are zoonotic in nature, but from the sources and that they are being classified into, they are said to come from contaminated items. If we promoted a culture of proper waste handling, would we have cases of contaminated items and all, or contaminated persons? You all see that our shege have just started. That this is just the beginning of our shege. Now let's move on to other types of waste management practices that we see around. The incineration. So that was when you guys were mentioning incineration the other time. That was like most people just mentioned this incineration because they saw it on the slide. Am I lying? Incineration is different from burning, from just burning. Incineration is usually in a controlled environment, most likely in a enclosed space. And it's mostly of organic compounds at very high temperature. The normal burning, waste burning you see around, that is not incineration. Get out of your head now. Then composting is a natural process of recycling organic matter like leaves, food, scraps, and every other thing. Recycling is a process of converting waste materials into new materials without necessarily changing the composition of those materials. Then vermicomposting is also a bioconversion process whereby earthworms help us break down organic matters into smaller distance, but there is a form of symbiotic relationship there. They multiply. Earthworms multiply after feeding on the organic waste. And yes, earthworms are very good for our soil, for soil aeration and all, but too much of everything is not good. We all know that. Then going to the limitations and benefits of all this. Incineration on its own parts, it significantly reduces the volume of combustible waste under high conditions. It reduces it a lot. But its limitation includes smoke and fire hazard may exist when not controlled. Apart from that, the health implication of smoke, it's another thing entirely. Then composting is beneficial for crops and is an environmental friendly method. It goes through the natural process, but it requires operation. If just anyhow person go into composting, it's become a catastrophe for the world. Recycling is very environmental friendly because basically you are not changing the composition of the item shape. That's where upcycling, just trying to change it to another shape or reducing to. But the limitation is very expensive to set up, and it's not reliable in case of an emergency. Vermicomposting, it reduces the need for chemical fertilizer because it's a natural process and it enhances plant growth because earthworms helps in soil aeration, but it is time consuming. It is cost ineffective and requires extra care. Moving on. Next slide, please. Next slide. Now, according to the United Nations Environmental Programme, let's see in our hands. The increasing volume and complexity of waste associated with the modern economy is posing a serious risk to ecosystem and human health. Every year, an estimated 11.2 billion tons in your head, please, so that you know the level of wahala is collected worldwide, and decay of organic proportion of solid waste is contributing to about 5% per year of global greenhouse gas emission. Every year, an estimated 11.2 billion tons of solid waste are collected worldwide. Of all the waste stream, the one with the most problem that we are not seeing as a problem as we have now is electrical waste. Electrical waste is a growing menace because there are not enough e-waste plant. In the whole of Nigeria, how many e-waste plant do we, recycling plant do we have? Probably if you have one in Lagos, that's all. In the whole of Lagos, Comta village now, if you ask them for where they dispose of their electrical material or their computer, unused computer, I think the tech bros will be able to relate to the menace we put ourselves into. They've turned Nigeria into a dumping ground, not to talk about, well, not only Nigeria, almost all developing nations, because we collect the cheap items to sell because we want the low cost. Then it's a fast growing challenge, not only in developed nations, but also in underdeveloped nations. Poor waste management, ranging from non-existent, don't have enough. Even the ones we have, we don't take care of them as we should. Water and soil contamination, open and non-sanitary landfill everywhere. They contaminate our drinking water and cause infection, then transmit disease. That's what monkeypox, cholera, malaria from mosquito. Mosquito have breeding ground in landfills. That's just the way it goes. And every other thing put a strain on our health of urban dwellers and our environment as a whole. Municipal solid waste that we get from our environment is predicted to grow from 2023. This is the recent data, to 3.8 billion by 2050. In 2020, the global direct cost of waste management was an estimated 252 billion. That was in 2020. 2020, the era of coronavirus, where movement was restricted, generating. If we factor all the hidden costs of pollution, poor health and climate, the cost rise to about $361 billion US. Without urgent action on waste management, by 2050, our global annual cost on waste will be at a staggering $640.3 billion US. You see me see wahala. Hope you are seeing the wahala as I am seeing it too. Getting this waste under control by taking waste prevention and management measures could limit this our problem. By 2050, by 270.2 billion, reduce the amount of money we need to spend on waste management. If we can take into prevention and management, if we can manage our waste well, it will reduce the cost from 640 to about 270.2 billion. However, the projections have shown that circular economy model, where waste generation and economic growth are decoupled, where we promote a culture where that when you don't need items, you don't get them. You patronize items that are last longer, and not just for the fashion sense of the time. By avoiding waste avoidance, sustainable business practices, and full waste management could in fact lead to a full net gain of 108.5 billion per year. Then instead of losing, we gain about 108.5 billion. These are some of the sustainable solutions that we can go into: provision of finance to countries most in need, especially the fast growing, creating access to support to major waste producing countries to reduce consumption of plastics and marine litters. We really need to reduce the amount of use of plastics. Reduce food waste through consumer education. We need to sensitize the people. When you know, pass the information to others why they need to reduce food wastage. Environmental education promotes responsible behavior that helps people acquire the knowledge. When you know so much about the environment, what your environment needs and what it does not need, what you can do to help your environment, it will help promote responsible behavior in our people. It will also be when, after all environmental education, it's believed that it can be sustainable and through effective policy formulation. When there are effective policies and enforcement, it will help a lot in getting these solutions across. If no action is taken, the world will be on the dangerous path to more waste and environmental pollution. Lives and the environment will pay an even higher price than what we have today. We have so many solutions at hand already to reverse the trend. What is needed is urgent action. We need people that can act at all levels of our society. The time for action is now, not tomorrow. With a focus on ways that are supporting countries to make critical solid waste management, financing, policy, and planning decision is key. And for all this to occur, the art of waste segregation, as shown in the video, needs to be imbibed in everybody to promote smoother transition of all waste disposal stages. Moving on, let's dive into the house of waste management, which will be taken by Sustainable Mama Lolu Akonde. Lolu? Gisam Lolu, you have the floor, ma'am.
All right. Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening.
Please, can you confirm you can hear me?
Can hear you. We can hear you.
All right,
Yes.
awesome. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Good evening, everyone. My name is Taiwo Akonde. You can call me Lulu too. So yeah, I'll be dealing with the hours of waste management this evening. So hours of waste management stem from, what we need to do to make sure that we have proper plans for our waste generation. So yeah, I am very sure that many of us here, if not, there are these three popular ones: the reuse, reduce, and recycle. So before we go right into it, I'm just going to give us what the house of waste management is. So if you can see my screen very well, I have put a simple definition there. That's the house of waste management is a framework that aims to help us reduce our environmental impact and improve sustainability. So yeah, like I said earlier, the house of waste management are framework. They are designed to make sure that everybody is involved in the process of waste management. Yeah, that everybody is involved in the process of waste management. We are all shareholders in what we generate and how we manage the waste that we generate. Please, if you can still hear me, I would like to maybe drop a comment so that I can know that we're still following. Okay.
I can hear you. Just
All right. Thank you. Yes, thank you. It's a bit quiet, so yeah. So tonight I'll be talking about the 6 hours of waste management. Like I said, many of us are familiar with the three primary hours, which are the reduce, reuse, and recycle. But tonight I would like to add three more, which are rethink, refuse, and recover. So like I mentioned, we have reduce, reuse, and recycle that are quite popular. So without wasting any of our time, let's look at rethink. So this is 2024, and like ever before, consumption is still on the high side. From what we eat, fast and beautiful fashion, drinks with drinks, parties are not stopping, entertainments are not stopping. So there are a lot of consumption going on every day. So Rethink is saying that Rethink as a hour of sustainability of waste management is saying that before you proceed to buy any produce or use any service, have a rethink. Ask yourself a question of, do I really need this? It is like the most primary help that you could do the environment and yourself. Before you make a purchase, ask yourself, do I really need this? A lot of people, you have a romper in your wardrobe and you just feel like, oh, this romper is probably out of style or out of fashion. Let me buy a new one. There are ways you could, style the rompers, the old romper that you have. So you have to like rethink, do I really need this thing? Do I need to buy this? If there is no need for it, you know what to do. Drop it. You don't have to buy. So I have an example here. Would you rather carpool or take a boat or book take a boat or book a boat by yourself just because you want to maintain steez? Yeah, this is like a very relatable example. Booking a boat and carpooling is like a form of service. So would you rather like I would like if any few of us can drop comments so that I can know what would your answer be? Would you rather like take a bus, like a commercial bus where many other persons are joining and using the bus to commute, or would you rather book a ride solely for yourself because you want to maintain your steez, you want to stand your composure, maintain your composure? So before we take this kind of service, we need to like have a rethink of, oh, what is going to be the environmental implications of carpooling and the environmental implications of, trying to maintain my so-called steez. So when you have a rethink, when you weigh the options that you have, you know which one is going to pose more environmental impact on the environment. So that's going to like help you make a choice. So yeah, that's going to be it for rethink. So like I said, consumption, okay. The next R that I'll be talking on is refuse. Refuse as the second R simply implies that we should simply say no to products and services that are not important. We should feel energized against the consumer culture. Yeah, the consumer culture is saying, oh, this thing is out. I need to like get it. Oh, people are using, I need to upgrade my iPhone. People are wearing this kind of dress. I need to buy this kind of dress. Do we really need it? Is it changing anything for us? That's like something you have to like, oh, people, this thing is trending now. Do we really need to accept everything that is coming out? Do we really need to embrace every new, every new things that are coming out? Things that are not, necessary. We need to, embrace the habit of saying no, embrace the habit of refusing. Oh, this thing doesn't really add anything to me. I don't need to get it. Just just say no. Just refuse it. So that's what refuse is saying. And I think when you start with rethinking, when you try to rethink and weigh what your options are, rethink what your choices should be. After rethinking, you go to, oh, I already know that this thing, okay, I already know that carpooling is the best option for me. So then I have to like reject booking a boat. I have to refuse it, taking a boat, even if somebody is saying, oh, just take a boat by yourself. I'm not saying taking a boat is entirely bad. Obviously, if you are taking with 2, 3, 4 persons, it's very cool. But if you have the options of, taking a carpooling and taking a boat, I am saying that you have to rethink to know that carpooling is going to be the best option to take in that instance. So an example for refuse is saying refuse a single-use plastic. It has no single benefit to the environment. That's so straightforward. Single-use plastic, once you use it one time, it's going to God knows where. So instead of using a single-use plastic, find an alternative. So that's what refuse is saying. I'll move right into reduce. The concept of reduce what is produced and what is consumed is essential in waste management. The logic behind this is simple to understand. If there is less waste, then there is less to reuse or recycle generally. There's less waste to handle. So this is saying that, we have to form an habit of making sure that at the onset of everything, there is no even waste. There is limited waste to that we generate. Let me put it that way. We have to form the habit of, okay, do I even really need to go out? Even if you are carpooling, if it is not necessary, do I really need to like use it? Do I really need to even, drink if it has to be with single-use plastic? Do I need to take these things? I put an example here that print on both sides of paper to reduce paper waste. Okay, wastage. This is a very good example. I have to print something. Do I need to like print on a page, on each page, or do I have to like print on two sides of a paper, which is going to reduce our waste? We have to like think deeply on ways to, when there are no waste, there is nothing to reuse, there is nothing to recycle, there is nothing to recover, there is nothing to repair or anything. So we should formulate an habit of making sure that we do not have any waste at all. And how do we do that? We rethink. When we rethink, okay, I don't need to use this thing, then we drop it. I have to refuse this thing. When I don't use it, I don't have a waste. So we should formulate an habit of, trying to reduce waste that we generate each day, each person. So I'll move swiftly to reuse. So I know when I was saying, since I've been speaking, people will think, oh, so you are saying I should not take water, Abby. You are saying I should not go out because I want to help the environment. No, I'm not saying that. There's no way we won't, have to use products. There's no way we would not have to use services. So that is where reuse comes in. When you want to make a purchase, buy stuff that you know that you can reuse. Or let me put it in this more relatable way. So reuse is saying that products that you have, let's say you have okay, this is actually very common. Almost everyone has this fan eyes plastic at home that has been, turned into maybe containers for buttons and needles, or I know our mommies do that a lot. So reuse is simply that it is that simple. That, okay, make things that you think has no use anymore. Give them use. An example that I put here is an old fabric may be redesigned into totes to make the lifespan of to increase the lifespan of the products. Yes. So old fabrics that you have that you must have think that, oh, this, what do I do with this? Recently, I was speaking, this is very common across universities. After 500 level or 400 level, we buy white t-shirts, t-shirts, yes, for what do we call sign outs? People buy markers, put their signatures on your body. this, we were just thinking, and I was saying, thinking of, oh, the amount of waste generated by, Nigerian students every year with that tote bag. Because obviously, after signing out, people don't use the white shirt anymore. People just, drop them at home. The conversation actually stems from when I saw the white shirt of my friend, and I was like, oh, this is your white shirt. What are you going to do with it? That was where the conversation stemmed off. And then I thought that a lot of students across Nigeria are just like going to, after the sign out, they just they just, dump their white shirts somewhere, or some even, like, some don't even see the need to use it. So for rethink, this brings me back to rethink. Do I really need to, like, if I have to do the sign outs, it brings me back to rethink and refuse. When I was mentioning consumer culture, do I need to follow the trend? Do I need to do this thing? If I think deeply that, oh, this is going to actually like generate waste that I may not be able to handle, waste that I don't know how I'm going to, like, I don't know where the end is going to go. Are you following? Yeah, let me just believe that people are still listening to me, like people can still hear me. So yeah, reuse is saying that when we have stuff, like the I was talking about, what importance can we do with this? What life can we give to these white shirts that we have considered to be, to be a waste? My internet is. So yeah, that's the concept of reuse. What do we need to do with fabrics that we have in our homes that we don't know what their importance is anymore? We can use them for tote bag. We can use them for table covers. We can use them for windows. We can use them quite a lot so that we can know how to use a lot of these fabrics. So yeah, moving forward, recover. So recovery embodies on finding ways to give use to materials or waste that have been dumped, to give back life to waste, to recover them. Yeah, this is saying that waste that you see on the dump sites, waste that you see around, waste that you see flying around, still have importance. We can recover them, and that's one thing that we do in Plugin Nigeria. We jog, picking up litters. One of the litters that we pick are pets, and these pets can be used for other stuffs. It can be recycled into other things. So recovering is saying that you going out, pick waste that has been, disposed of, like pure water nylons now has gained beautiful recognition for use in even inside to the example is picking up of dump. I think my network rugs. Can you hear me? I God, I beg. Hello, can anyone confirm if they can hear me? I think I am back.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yes, I can.
I don't know. Yes, all right. So I
can
apologize
hear
for
you.
that.
I can hear
All right, thank you. So yeah, I I was talking about recovering. Yeah, so recovering, let's just move to recycle. So recycle is okay. Okay, to recycle an item means that it will be transformed again into a semi-raw material that can be shaped into a new item. Like I mentioned, the Gigi Sam, please, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so recycling is saying that um raw waste that we catch, waste that we generate, waste that what's going on? Okay, recycling is saying that waste that we generate, we take them, we convert them, we transform them into materials like raw materials, but we make them into semi-raw materials. That is, we can, for example, PET bottles or some plastic bottles can be reconverted. Like I mentioned earlier, pure water nylons can be, made into semi-raw materials. Other components adds to them to make interlocks. Other things ask them to make shoes and bag, like I have mentioned earlier. So recycling is saying that, oh, this waste that we may have thought are, really waste, we bring them together, turn them into raw materials that, create new innovations for us. So yeah, okay. So yeah, is it Fugazi or not? Maybe someone, I am sure nobody is thinking, but let me think somebody is thinking that. What is the correlation between their steeds and environment? I mean, earlier I said using boats we maintain their steeds, and I'm saying carpooling. What's the correlation? What do I mean by that? But okay, so let's do a quick math. I'm not going to answer the question if it is Fugazi or not. So I'm going to just ask us to do a quick math together. And that's going to give us an answer to the question that you may have. So Nigeria's population as of today is estimated at 233 million. Now let's say each of the 233 million of us generates just a nylon per day. What do we have in a week? That's 233 million nylons in a day. What do we have in a week? That's saying 233 million nylon times 7. You can't even do the maths. You can't do the maths. I'm sure the calculator is going to give you an error. So now let's say, what do we have in a month? 233 million times 7 times 30 or times 4. What do we have in a month? So if you generate a waste, if you use, let's say you use each 233 million people, obviously that's not possible. Each 233 million people are taking using single half in a week. What about in a month? What about other ways? Obviously, we can't have only nylons. We can't have only PET bottles generated by a single person. So think of, a lot of people don't even know why they should not use this single use plastics and all of that. So think about the 54 countries in Africa. This is just saying, this 233 million is talking about Nigeria alone. Think about Africa, the 54 countries in Africa. about what
I think we've lost this Sunday due to network, but I think she's rounding up as well. So I'd like to see what are our thoughts so far from everything Jisam Balikis and Jisam Makonde has presented to us. Any questions? Do you have questions for them? Do you have takeaways? Please let me see you rolling out in the chat. I believe you can hear me. Jisam Olamide, please confirm if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. This is
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, so then why am I not seeing the energy in the chat? Come on, guys. Two awesome GSAMs have been rolling out premium value this evening. So please, I need to see the energy. I need to see your energy in the chat box. Questions, comments, drop them. Let's go. Okay, so Jisambali Keys, there is a question. Please confirm you can hear me so I can ask the question on behalf of the participants.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right.
But I'm here
So
to
the
the
question is, you said?
Okay, go ahead.
The question is there any plans in place for separation of waste anywhere in Nigeria?
Thank you so much for that. With the, I'm going to answer the question probably from the aspect of the government or individual organizations and all. I think in the aspect of individual organizations, they are trying so much, especially NGOs, to encourage and promote the culture of waste separation. You know, before you can tell people to embrace waste segregation, you need to sensitize them on the need for it first. So individual organizations are trying their best to make this possible. That's why we have so much so much introduction of the value chain, trying to collect cartons separately, them trying to collect plastics, trying to collect metals. You know, before the craze about pet plastic was on, the craze had always been about metals. That's things. I mean, tin cans. How many of us can how many times do you see tin cans around as before? Do we see tin cans come out? Do we see them around as before?
I still see tin cans though. I still
Do
see
you
tin
see it as much as we had before?
Well, I think to an extent plastics have taken over. Yeah, so it's not like
Taking over, because to a large extent they saw
Actually, they are not as
that.
much as before.
So individual organizations are trying their best, but we can't for now we can't say that in the part of the government, and that's where the aspect of policy for information has to come in place, or probably a partnership between the two bodies, and maybe when they start enforcing this on the producers too, while they taking back the product they send into the environment.
Okay, thank you so much,
Assign
Sambalikis.
that way. But for now, we don't have a solid one on ground in Nigeria, apart from that of the individual
Awesome.
organizations and partners.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Sambalikis. I'll just add to that before I hand over to Disam Olamide, and she'll close out for the night in case Disam Lulu is unable to join us due to technical issues. So about waste sorting, there are individual, or should I call them corporates? There are individual companies that are dedicated to that kind of work, right? So I think what you need to do is use the tools available to you, which is, I always say, it's your phones. You have the phones on the palm of your hands. Go online, look for information. There are companies in Nigeria, here in Lagos, in different states that handle or that are into waste management, right? And the government on their part, they have different programs, but I don't know of anyone that is focused on waste separation, right? So please go online and do your research. You find companies or applications that are dedicated to that, right? And then if you don't find one, of course, you can continue to talk about it, um, write about it, make videos about it, spread awareness so that more people become aware that there's something like this, and of course it's adopted into society and we start to see real and effective changes. So that's what I wanted to add to that. I also saw something about landfills. Jisam Balikis, I don't know if you want to speak to that. Let me look for that question. You said,
I see that in the I saw that in the chat box where they asked,
awesome,
don't the
awesome,
landfills have any negative
awesome.
effects on the environment? If you were following my explanation, I talked about an assumption of this same scenario and the amount of order generated from just that simple act. From that, I stated the amount of disturbance of the aesthetic value of the environment, then the introduction of the earth risk attached to it, disease. That was when I talked about cholera, which occurs as a result of exposure to contaminated water. These are products of what are coming out from landfills, which can be tagged as negative effects of indiscriminate disposal in our landfills. So I think that I've answered the question our participant is asking. And with that, we've also highlighted solutions to that in the slide on how it can be sustainably managed.
I think we lost this one. Thank you so much, Jishan. Thank you, Jishan Balikis. Thank you, Jishan, for such a beautiful session. Thank you. It was insightful. So I think we lost the Jishan. So another not to waste our time, moving sharply back to WhatsApp. But I have a task for us. Yes. So you'll be writing one thing that stood out for you during this session for me. I want to see that one thing that stood out for you that clicked. Maybe you knew about it before, or maybe you don't. So now you go to WhatsApp now. You write that one thing that stood out for you. So see you. I don't want to say WhatsApp, but see you on WhatsApp. Just thank you. You can start leaving now, so we can go back to WhatsApp. So I want to say one thing that stood out for you during this session. So write it for me. Let me see. You can start leaving now. Can anybody hear me? Looks like I'm alone.
Yes, yes. We heard you. They are already leaving.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I thought we lost Sam. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you. See you
You're
guys on
welcome.
WhatsApp. All right. So what's now?
Okay, I'll be ending the session.
Yeah,
Looks like we're all reluctant to leave. All right, everyone. Good night. Bye-bye. Go back to the WhatsApp group chat and do as you've been asked to.